Hey Nippers, it's me, Wild Neptune. Yukiko is finally out, so it's time to do some testing with both her and Makoto. Let's go. So if you missed my last video, just testing Makoto by herself, you can watch that. However, this is going to be mostly a duo video with her and Yukiko. Of course, though, we have to have a baseline, so we can do a team we didn't do last time, and that's going to be made with Makoto and Rapid Red Hood, as she is my best built fire unit that I have. So her stats actually got slightly better since last time. Not by a lot, but they are better. Everybody else is the same, and I will show off the Makoto just in case. She is 777. Makoto now, unlike last time, does have a doll at SR5, so that is going to take some effect too. And this is to see how much damage that they do on this fight right here. After that, I will replace the Rapid Red Hood with Yukiko and see how the damage compares after that. Of course, these teams I made basically just be a full auto team. And yes, in this case, I do know that putting Rapid Red Hood first will be more damage overall, but I want to be consistent where the Makoto will always burst first. Anyway, I'll see you after this fight is over. Alrighty, so the results about 16.1, and here they are with Makoto do about 2.45-ish, and Rappy doing 6.2-ish, and with the other ones doing a little bit also. Star Anise obviously doing 2.1. Again, like I said in the last video, I know it is likely that Anise is not on this team, as she is probably going to be on the Idol team. So this is probably going to be like Siren, Moran, something like that. So the damage overall will be probably lower for this setup. But anyway, let's go ahead and replace the Rappy with the Yukiko. So go right here, check F normal, and boom. Okay, so here is the Yukiko. We have the Cuber, so let's do that. 777. So here are the stats right here and the gear. Her attack and elemental are about the same as Makoto. They're actually really similar in the quality of the build. You know, it's okay for the limited amount of rocks I spent on them. Not that bad. Now, unlike Makoto, Yukiko does not have a doll on her, so unfortunately, I do not have the ability to put one on right now. I do have an SR doll, but I'm gonna wait till Solar Raid actually comes around, and I can maybe get one on her. But anyway, let's just do the same thing here. I will click send, and I'll be back to you with the results in just a bit. Results are in at 10.3-ish. Oh, also, in case you're just listening, the last battle I said 60.1. That was just my highest score. It's actually 11.8 for the total score for the last fight, and that means there's only a 1.5-ish build difference between the two scores, and that seems pretty decent to me. So here are the results right here. You'll see that at least did a little bit less damage, but that's within the margin of error overall, like crit randomness, stuff like that. The Makoto, though, did much more damage. So over a billion, I'm getting it wrong, like almost a billion more than she did in the past, in the first battle without Yukiko. And Yukiko herself put out a lot of damage too. 4 bill. Kind of almost, I guess not that surprising that she did more damage given her weapon type for this fight. But this is a pretty substantial amount. And remember, this is without the doll. And yes, about the same investment as the Makoto in the rocks and stuff like that. But I would say that this is a pretty impressive showing, especially since it almost equaled Makoto and Rapid Red Hood. Now, again, the Makoto is getting buffed by the Yukiko. That's why this buff happens, and same side happens. The Makoto buffs the Yukiko too. So there is that feedback loop between these two units, which is why oftentimes they will be used as a duo. And okay, yeah, I mean, let's just test out maybe a couple more teams that they might be good in, obviously, with other comparisons too with them. So let's get to the next one. The next team we'll try is a Crown team, and I wanted this one in particular because the Yukiko's skills, since she heals, should also proc Crown, which gives a kind of a different take on, not different take, but it does allow some more flexibility in how you maybe build this team. Now, do I think this is a team that you're going to use with Yukiko and Makoto? No, I still think that maids are going to be the way. But, let's see. So, normally here, actually, because Fire does not have a true damage dealer, we would probably want to use Flora in place of the Helm right here. Because I want to keep everything a full auto, this is what the team that we're going to go with here. And it will change slightly for the testing team. But again, this is just going to be for a baseline. The new unit is going to be the Mihara Bond and Chain here. And you'll see the skills are 10, 10, 10. She has the max cube and everything like that. And here is going to be her current stats. So not the greatest, but not that bad. But yeah, let us go right in. And once the results are up, I will show them to you. So hold on. All right, results. So about 16.15. Actually a new record for the overall score. And revenue record 6.9, just under 7 bill. Mihara 5.5, with Denise about 2.1, and Crown and Helm just under 800 mil each. So a really good showing. Now, this is really how close can both Makoto and Yukiko get to this score. We're going to find out in just a moment. The small edit is going to be that we've replaced Helm with Privity, since we don't need the Helm in order to proc the Crown's skill. So we have room to add this in. Of course, you could also use the Flora if you want to. You can use main mask too if you want to. But I think typically, given that it is a 5-team raid that these characters will mostly be used in, that this is what you will likely go with if you go with a team similar to this. So, like as always, I will start the fight, and I'll see you in just a moment. Alrighty, so 12.36, a little bit behind the 16.15, but that's to be expected with the overall investment level. But honestly, a pretty good result. Little under 3.4 for Makoto, a little under 5.2 for the Yukiko. The Yukiko does seem to be the one that is doing more of the damage overall. Crown, a little over 900 mil. The Privity, 550-ish. Denise, about 2.35 for the team. Again, benefiting from the Privity damage taken buff, debuff on the boss. So yeah, this is a perfectly, I think, respectable number, actually, especially when you compare it to basic, like, the two best 5 DPSs in the game right now. So we do have another team or so to test out, so let's move on to that one. Alright, so really the only other test we need to do is just Yukiko by herself. So let's run a couple of these, mainly with the maids team. So the first one we'll have with her, with the Mihara, which is going to be the control group. And since we already ran one with the Rapid Red Hood and the Mihara, we can just go back to that and see how that was overall. Of course, that one was the 16.15 that we have right here. So basically, we'll compare it to that and also compare it with her and the one with the Makoto also. Mainly, this is simply because that, of course, Yukiko works best with Makoto, but she doesn't seem to rely on her as much, and that the Yukiko herself does pump up some pretty decent single target damage. So hopefully that will show in this fight right here. Anyway, I'll be back with you after this fight is over. Alright, results 12.2. If you didn't know, this is just under the Makoto results, actually. So we have Yukiko 3.68, almost 3.7. We have the Mihara at about 5.37. Bill with the Anise coming at 2.1. So yeah, like it does seem like Yukiko just by herself is a good damage dealer. And remember, this is with only 777. I do think that you probably want to level up the second skill first, as that has the most buffs in it, I believe. But no doll either. Pretty mid overall roll. Not mid, like decent enough, I would say, in terms of the rocks go. But yeah, like it does seem like Yukiko could be a pretty good, not seems, like it does seem like she is a good unit to have for your fire raids. Now the question is, should you pull them? Well, I want to frame this around solo raid, because if you're not pulling for like solo raid and you just want story or something like that, maybe using one team and want to progress that way, and you don't really take the other stuff that seriously, honestly, you don't really have to pull a lot of stuff. But in context of 1 in 5 teams per like an element solo raid for endgame, short answer, yes, you 100% should pull both of them. Long answer, look at these are the first 3 fire units right now. How many of them are top tier solo raid right now? 2. Reverie Red Hood, Mihara Bond and Chain. Both of them are program 1% overall. After that, we have Alice, who is a good unit, needs manual play, does have a little bit of skill involved with her, and not good for every raid. We have Drake, who's a fire unit, but is a shotgun user who just happens to be a fire unit. And because fire shotgun is not really a thing, unfortunately, she does not really get used in the fire solo raid. Then we have Asuka, who is a collab unit from a couple of years ago now. And is she a good unit? Yes. And she was really, really good when she came out, but has since fallen off quite a bit. Might still see use in the solo raid, but her days are definitely numbered. But yeah, we have Asa and Ray, who are, again, other collab units, likely not to return. Then we have Brid and Diesel, who are good units, obviously. However, they are holiday limited units, which we won't get until like November, something like that. Maybe a little bit later, probably a little bit later, I think, for those units right there for the reruns. And then we have Bestie, who is not a raid unit. She's definitely more story tower PvP type. And we have Modernia, who, is really, really seen the last of her days. Probably not going to be used again in a raid setting, unless for some reason the boss is like very, very friendly to her kit overall. Unfortunately, also my girl Trony here has never been used ever. But yeah, like you just don't really have a lot of good high tier options for fire. Which is kind of like flipping everything on his head, because fire used to be the power element that everybody did well in, but now things are looking kind of bleak without Yukiko and Makoto. Now, if you're a new player, you probably won't even really look at solo raid for a few months, and even then, depending on what element is up at the time, you might not even need to build Yukiko and Makoto for a long time. Like, again, if you're starting right now, and because solo raid is like today or tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this, you're probably not going to be building these units up, and you might be waiting for the next element solo raid to pop up. But even then, I would say, because based on the numbers and everything like that, they do look like they are at the very least Team 2, maybe even Team 1 overall for 5 solo raid now, that even if you don't build these units for an entire year, I'm guessing they will still be viable. So don't you shouldn't feel scared about not like building units right away, and then the usefulness is gone really quickly. Because I don't think for these units that's going to be the case. Most collab units have stayed relevant for a while, at least since Ava 1. I understand. Like from what I understand, the new units kind of fell off pretty quickly. But from my experience, when I played through the collabs, Ava 2, Resident Evil, Licorice Recoil, Stellar Blade, those units, all of them are still relatively useful, with only Oscar and Fire Ray really falling off right now. In fact, Wind Ray from Ava 2, just a little bit after that, is still a really good raid unit that's going to be used definitely in the next Wind Week raid. So I won't really be that concerned about Makoto and Yukiko not being useful later on. The other big thing too, obviously, is that they are collab units, and that means limited and probably not coming back. So if you can get them, you probably should, regardless of what you're really doing in the game, just for the sake of having them. And now, again, I say this come from a somewhat privileged position, since I am able to like spend some money in the game and pull on them. So I definitely get it if you're limited in your resources and you don't want to like waste, I guess not waste, but like use your currency and your gems on things that might not be top tier. However, I do think in the grand scheme of things, if you're interested in doing raiding and stuff like that both of them are worth it. Now I would definitely go with Yukiko first now, and then get Makoto if you can. Obviously also because there's going to be a lot of filler until the next big event, which should be, I think, the anniversary, that you might need to maybe build up these golden tickets right here. And you know what? These collab units are a really good way to build up those tickets. So don't sleep on doing stuff like that either. Oh, and of course, look at the Mac Limit Break. Well, of course, you had to see the Mac Limit Break skill, but you could go right here, and here we go. Here's a screen. It's honestly pretty. It looks cool. Okay, I really like the whole TV thing they have going on. Against the persona thing going on. You have her persona in the background. She looks really, pretty elegant right here and everything. Again, I understand why it's like this, but I do wish there was a little more fan service in terms of her overall, skill, whatever. But it does look cool. And again, I showed it last time too, but here is the Makoto that Limit Break screen, and like that if you want to do that. Do I think Makoto's worth it to Max Limit Break? No. The Yukiko, however, again, probably not, but like I said, this is the only chance to do it. Again, Max Limit Break is more of like a dolphin to like whale type thing consideration, so there is that. But I do think that they look different, cool and different. So if you are kind of tired of the like Gooner screens, you can see the ones I have up here. Maybe you are going to be enticed to maybe pull on those two. Anyway, that's the video. Hope you found it helpful. If you did, a subscription would be greatly appreciated. Also, make sure to like and comment down below if you are going to pull or have even pulled for Yukiko and Makoto, and what do you think now of the new duo from the Persona collab. Anyways, I'm Well Neptune. Been a good one. Till next time.